The cameras no longer follow them. The invitations grow fewer. And the palace, once their stage, is quietly turning its gaze elsewhere. What happens when a royal family decides to look away? When lineage, once revered, becomes something to manage or erase? Before we dive in, there's something I need to share with you. Over the past few days, thousands have watched these stories unfold, but most haven't subscribed. If you're one of them, I invite you now to join us. Subscribe to Crownverse so you never miss the next chapter in this unfolding royal history. This is the story of the House of York, not as it once was, but as it is being remembered, and perhaps as it is being forgotten. Let us begin where the silence began to speak loudest. Prince Andrew has now relinquished the use of his title, the Duke of York, a designation that once placed him proudly among Britain's most senior royals. The move came not with public spectacle, but with quiet confirmation and careful edits on official royal web pages. It was, by all appearances, a gentle departure, but a symbolic one that carried weight. Sarah Ferguson, once the vibrant, controversial Duchess of York, has long navigated her own strained ties to the crown. Removed from official royal duties decades ago, she has continued to style herself with dignity, even affection for the monarchy. But the erasure of the York title from public life affects her too. Her identity, intertwined with a name that no longer holds power, now drifts further into ceremonial limbo. But this story does not end with Sarah or Andrew, because in the background, standing at a distance, yet tethered by blood and name, are two women born into this fading house, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie. For years, the York sisters have maintained a delicate balance, public enough to be noticed, discreet enough to avoid scandal, loyal to their parents, but reverent of the crown. They've walked that tightrope with poise. But with Andrew's formal retreat from his ducal title, questions now loom large over Beatrice and Eugenie's place in the future monarchy. What becomes of a royal line when the head of that family is no longer recognized as such? Inside the palace, no announcements have been made, but the message, many believe, is already clear. The slimmed-down monarchy, long championed by King Charles, appears to be in full motion. A vision for a more agile, less burdensome royal institution, focused on working royals, streamlined finances, and international diplomacy. And in that vision, where do the York sisters fit? Beatrice and Eugenie retain their HRH status by birthright, but they are not working royals. They hold no official patronages sanctioned by the crown. Their royal appearances are few, their roles undefined. They are, in many ways, private citizens with noble titles. In recent years, Eugenie has aligned herself with social causes and environmental charities. She has also chosen a life mostly outside the royal spotlight, living part-time in Portugal and pursuing her own career and family life. Beatrice, meanwhile, has embraced a corporate role and focused on her own growing family. Yet, for both women, their public perception remains inextricably tied to their parents. The scandals that enveloped Prince Andrew and the relentless media attention that followed cast long shadows. And, despite their public silence, Beatrice and Eugenie have often been seen by his side, whether at memorial services, private holidays, or public outings. Their loyalty is understandable. It is familial. It is human. But in the court of public opinion, loyalty has consequences. There are whispers in the press that the sisters' closeness to their father has complicated their relationship with the wider royal institution, that palace aides tread carefully, that invitations are more selective, that optics matter. And they do. When Queen Elizabeth II passed, the official portraits, balcony appearances, and ceremonial roles were more selective than ever. The future of the crown was visibly reduced to a core group: King Charles, Queen Camilla, the Prince and Princess of Wales, their children, and a few trusted relatives. The York sisters were not among them. This is not a punishment. It is a strategy. As the monarchy rebrands itself for a new era, it must reconcile legacy with image. And Andrew, once known as the Queen's favorite son, is no longer an asset. That loss, fair or not, ripples outward to all those connected. Sarah Ferguson's quiet departure from many public charitable roles came with little fanfare. But for those following the crown's inner workings, it was a sign that once you are not in, you are very much out. And yet, Beatrice and Eugenie have not made missteps. They have not sparked scandal. Their commitment to the royal family remains intact as far as we can tell. So why the distance? It may be less about what they've done and more about what they represent. In a time when the monarchy must justify its existence to a new generation, one more critical, more global, and less deferential, every figure in the royal orbit is now a calculation. Titles come with weight. Visibility implies endorsement, and silence in this context speaks volumes. The question is not whether Beatrice and Eugenie are loved within the family. They are. The question is whether the monarchy can afford, publicly, to carry the York name into the future. The answer, increasingly, seems to be no. This is not without precedent. When King Edward VIII abdicated, his descendants were sidelined. When Princess Margaret chose love over duty, her children lived largely outside the royal spotlight. When Harry and Meghan stepped back, they too found the doors of state quietly closing. The monarchy survives by adjusting. And in this adjustment, the Yorks may be the last chapter in that survival. But all is not lost. There is talk that the sisters may take on roles as goodwill ambassadors abroad, that they may represent the crown quietly in philanthropic initiatives, that their support for the monarchy behind the scenes remains valued. But these are whispers, not plans. And so the story continues, not with scandal, but with silence, not with announcements, but with absence. We are witnessing not a dramatic exit, but a slow fading, the careful, deliberate redrawing of a royal map. And at the edge of that map, the names of Beatrice and Eugenie hover. Still royal, still dignified, but perhaps no longer central. As the palace tightens its circle, the York family finds itself outside the gates. Not exiled, but eased away. Not condemned, but cordially distanced. And in this space between relevance and retirement, the future of the York sisters remains uncertain. Will they find new purpose within a changing crown? Or will history remember them as the last royals of a fading house? Time and the palace will decide. If you enjoyed this journey into the hidden world of the crown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us here on Crownverse, where royal history lives on.